Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. In today's video we are going to be trying the new Anastasia Beverly Hills face palette. I got mine in the lightest shade, which is Italian Summer. These palettes are very interesting from Anastasia because they come at a new kind of price point for her brand. They're a little bit pricier than we expect Anastasia products to be, and so I'm very interested in trying it out and seeing the performance, how it feels, how it wears, etc. to see if this increase in price is something that is justified. So I'll of course let you guys know how I feel about this formula in comparison to other formulas that Anastasia has had in the past and to some of my favorite high-end luxury formulas for powder products like these. If you guys are excited for the video, don't forget to please give it a thumbs up before you leave. If you're new to my channel, my name is Patty and I would love it if you were here to stay. So please hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on any future videos. And with that said, let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, I already have my eyes done and my base makeup done. This eye look is going to be on an upcoming 5 Looks 1 palette with my Midnight Sun palette, so stay tuned for that one. And let's go ahead and see what this face palette from Anastasia is all about. Okay, so here's what the packaging looks like, and it says that this essential trio delivers a lightweight, buttery feel and seamless blend, illuminating all skin tones for a long-lasting natural radiance. With easy to apply and buildable formulas, the Luxe Portable Glam Compact provides an unbeatable one-and-done solution for a subtle, supercharged look. Let me go ahead and feel the formula and tell you guys my first impressions. It's honestly a lot more creamy than anything I've seen from Anastasia before. I remember her older bronzers being a little bit more of a dry powder, and this feels a little bit smoother and creamier. Okay, this is what the bronzer swatch is like. It's definitely a very blendable formula from what I can see right away. Very nice and smooth. Now in the description it said that the packaging was luxe, and while I do think that the packaging is a little bit nicer than other Anastasia packagings I've seen before, I don't know that it's luxe. It's high-end packaging for sure. I love that the magnet is really nice and strong, very easy to open, and I love that it has a nice mirror right there. I'm definitely trying to give this one the benefit of the doubt and seeing if the packaging and the performance of the shades justify the price increase, because maybe Anastasia is having a new approach to her brand. Maybe she wants to be a little bit more luxurious, and if that's the case, then I am all for it, as long as the products perform like luxury products do. Let's get into the highlighter next, and here's the swatch right here. Very nice and creamy. It doesn't have any big sparkles, and I do really like the shade of this highlighter. It's like a silvery champagne type of a color. This one also feels really nice and smooth, and once again a little bit more creamy than I remember trying from her before. I'm definitely going to compare this highlighter to the Amrezy Highlighter and the Iced, I think it was, highlighter that I have in my drawer, and I will for sure let you guys know whether the formula is a little bit more creamy. Okay, last but not least, let's get into the blush. I was really excited about the color of this blush. I really liked it. It's like a very light peachy shade. And let's go ahead and swatch it right over here. The color of this blush is definitely beautiful, and I do really like the creaminess and blendability of it one more time. I've only swatched these shades. I haven't applied them on my face yet, but I do seem to remember that Anastasia blushes and bronzers were a lot more of a dry powder consistency than what comes in this palette. So far, everything feels a lot creamier than I remember from before. Let's go ahead and start applying the bronzer, and I'm going to use my REPHR number 24 brush for it. I barely dipped my brush in, and this is how much bronzer I got. I'm going to dust it off a little bit on the back of my hand and start applying it. This was definitely the right color of palette to go for me, the lightest one. I figured the medium was going to be already a little bit too dark as far as the bronzer is concerned, and I'm glad that I went for the lightest one because this bronzer color is perfect for me. I wouldn't want it any darker. Let me go ahead and apply it on my cheekbones. If you've been watching my videos consistently, you know Pedro. He does not want to go away, okay? He is like, I'm here and I'm going to stay a while, and there's nothing that you can do about it, woman. So here he is thriving. He is bigger and fatter and a lot more obvious. I really like the color of this bronzer, and it blends out very nicely. Let's go ahead and put it on my jaw next. and a little bit on the sides of my nose. I definitely love that the bronzer is bigger than the blush and highlighter because I love bronzer the most, as you can tell. It definitely changes the way that my makeup looks, it warms up my face, it gives me a bit more shape and definition. So bronzer is definitely my favorite powder step, and I use a lot of it, so I definitely love that the bronzer is the biggest one of all three pans. Let's go ahead and get into the blush next, and I'm using my REPHR number 5 brush for the blush. And I'm going to just pat it on the apples of my cheeks over the bronzer. The blush is like a satin finish. It's not very shimmery, but it's also not fully matte. I love the pigmentation. It blends really nicely over the bronzer, and I do really like this peachy light shade. It's really flattering on my skin tone. And I'm going to go over my nose with it. Last but not least, let's get into this highlighter here. This is my 98 brush from Sephora. And let's put it right on the cheekbone up here. I like to blend it upwards towards my temples. I really like this shade of highlighter. I think it's very flattering and it goes with everything. It'll go with cool tones, with warm tones, with any blush you can think of to put underneath it. It definitely goes really well with the blush that the palette has. Zero complaints about the highlighter color for sure. I'm going to do a little bit down the center of my nose and a little on the forehead. Okay, so this is how the Italian Summer face palette looks like on my skin. So far, I really like it. I still don't know if we can justify the $58 price tag, but let's go ahead and compare it with older formulas of Anastasia face products. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the Anastasia blushes, but I do have bronzer and highlighter. This is the bronzer in the color Rosewood. Let me go ahead and feel it in comparison to the new one. This is Rosewood right here, and this is the new bronzer. And this right here is what they look like side by side. I'm showing you so that you see that the new one is not necessarily a lot darker than Rosewood. So it definitely is an improvement in the formula, because even though the Rosewood bronzer still feels on the creamy side, you guys can see like it does not compare to the pigmentation of the new one at all. And I remember really liking this bronzer, but you guys can see there's definitely a difference in the performance. I grabbed more Rosewood. I'm going to go over it. That was the second time that I went over that swatch, and it's still not near as pigmented as the new bronzer is. So just like I suspected, the quality of the new palette is improved, which is really nice, honestly. Let's go ahead and compare the highlighters next. Here I have the Iced Out highlighter from Anastasia, and I'm swatching it. I'm not the biggest fan of this particular highlighter because it has like a green shift to it, on my skin tone at least. And I'm going to go into the new formula right here. It feels a lot creamier to the touch than the Iced Out highlighter for sure. And let's go ahead and swatch it. I feel like swatched, both highlighters look good. In fact, this one looks a little bit more iridescent because it does have that iridescent very gold sparkle to it. This one looks a little bit more natural. Now to the touch, this one feels a lot smoother and creamier than this one does, and on I like it a lot better than the Iced Out highlighter, because if you guys go back and you watch my review on this one, I just wasn't a fan of the color of it, and I do really like the color of this new highlighter. The reflect on the Iced Out highlighter shows a lot more though. This one's definitely more on the natural side, but again, to the touch, it does feel creamier. Definitely not as much of a difference as we saw with the bronzer. The difference in the bronzers was crazy. Now here's the Amrezy highlighter, and this one does not feel as creamy as either one of the ones I swatched so far. Now I do love the color of the Amrezy highlighter. And here it is in comparison to the new one. Even though the Amrezy one feels a lot drier, I personally still love the Amrezy highlighter so much. This one just has a little bit more of a light undertone to it. Amrezy's highlighter is just unbeatable as far as Anastasia highlighters go. I really wish that I could compare to older Anastasia blushes, but unfortunately I don't have any of those. And the reason I don't have any of those is that I never liked them. And I do remember the formula being a little bit more drier. They didn't blend out as well. I didn't find anything super attractive about those older Anastasia blushes. And I do really like the color and the performance of the blush in this new face palettes. Okay, here's my Natasha Denona Tan palette, and I want to go into the powder bronzer right here. which this one is, by the way, darker in color to this one, but just formula wise I wanted to compare them. Alright, so I loaded up on both. This is the Natasha Denona bronzer, this is the Anastasia bronzer. Natasha Denona, nice and creamy and silky as always, and Anastasia, which again, this one is a lighter shade. However, creaminess wise and the way that they blend though, I really like how the Anastasia bronzer compares even to the Natasha Denona one, which is crazy. So here are my final thoughts on this palette. The price was definitely a shock to me at first because I was definitely just not used to Anastasia having a price point that high. I was like, a face palette for $58? It just seemed out of what Anastasia usually does as a brand. However, I decided to give it the benefit of the doubt. I figured there would be a reason why the palette was a little bit more expensive. The packaging is a little better, but taking that aside, I definitely feel like this bronzer performed really amazingly. The blush was also really beautiful, and so was the highlighter. Honestly, I'm not upset that I bought this. I don't think I wasted my money on it. It is a little bit pricier, but it performs a lot better than any other face palettes I've ever tried from Anastasia. Except for the Amrezy Highlighter, of course. Besides that, the bronzer's much better quality, the blush much better quality. The highlighter was really nice as well. So I cannot wait to hear what you guys think in the comment section down below. Let me know after you saw the performance and the swatch comparisons and everything, what your guys' thoughts are. I haven't seen anybody else's video on this, and I know there's a few videos out there, but I kept hearing from you guys through comments that people weren't giving this palette the best reviews. And now I'm very curious to go back and watch those other videos and find out why. Because price aside, I think the palette performs beautifully, and price included, I think it's a much better formula that we've gotten from Anastasia before. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Don't forget to please give this video a thumbs up if you guys liked it, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel before you leave. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here, and I hope to see you back in the next video. Bye!